So we're back with the second half of the interview with James Mielke, from executive editor from OneUp.com.
Hi.
Formerly of GMR.
Yes.
Formerly of EGM.
Right.
Formerly of the
Life.
fashion industry in New York.
Of life.
And frequent guest of the One Up Show.
Sometimes, when they can track me down.
You know, you need to get on that show more often because you're a superstar.
I really don't like being in front of the camera. It feels weird.
But you're such a natural because I feel so lucky because the Metal Gear show, in my opinion, is the best show that you guys have done for the One Up Show so far. And it has your awesome, your cameo appearance. and from what I hear from that, and I'll link it on this blog site, is, you know, the intro comes in, Mielke makes his appearance, and from what I hear, that was all ad-lib. That was all el natural.
Yeah, it was. Just because nobody at One Up has the time to write a script, so it's just like, hey, we're gonna put a camera at you, do some stuff. You know what's really funny about that though is that people really think that I'm this guy who beats up interns. But do you think I would really beat up interns if somebody was pointing a camera at me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get that clear.
I think you would.
All right. Well, obviously you've been
around you quite a lot.
Don't say that, man. We're gonna get in trouble.
Poor interns, you know.
Poor interns.
The guy he beat Animal Crossing.
He beat Animal Crossing.
And what does he get?
A fat lip. He paid. That's what you get for paying off Tom Nook in a day. That game was not designed to be in a day. You don't pay off Tom Nook like that, or you get the back of a hand.
So I just hope to see you more, you know, on the One Up Show more and more. I mean, and I think fans want you on there.
I'll try, but I'm not making any promises.
Okay. I thought we could get a promise out of you. You're on the air. You're on the Kojima Productions Report.
I'll tell you one thing. It's easier to talk. I understand why Howard Stern does it now, because it's easier to talk. And you get headphones and you can actually hear yourself talk in your own voice, which you don't hear that often.
Yeah, you don't.
No, but when you have a camera pointing at you, you don't feel like you're having a conversation. You feel like you're hamming it up. That's a little weird.
Okay. Maybe I'm completely off on this, but maybe you just haven't had enough time in front of the One Up Show camera.
Well, I've been in front of a lot of cameras over the last 8 years because, you know, for EGM or GMR or just Ziff Davis in general, they'd be like, hey, can you do this spot? Can you do this CNN spot? Oh, can you do this entertainment show? I had to go to New York and I had to sit there on a stage set and talk to, like, it wasn't Regis and Kathy Lee, but it was similar, and it was really awkward, I'd have to say. I'm not a fan of, like, hanging out in front of a camera acting like a camera's not there.
So in other words, you're not going to be on the show that much. Just, you know, rarely you're going to make your appearance, is what you're saying.
When it's important, when I have to do it, I'll be there, but, you know, I try it. You know, sometimes the camera crew comes around and I'm just like, get out of my face. Yeah, I'd rather come and hang out in Kojima Productions. Tell you that much.
Let's get back into the Metal Gear talk.
Okay.
So how did the One Up story go? I mean, I'm going to put a link on our page just so people can access it, because just in case you missed it. But there was so much content in that cover story you guys did. Yeah. But can you talk a little about the process of getting that together, because that was a monster.
Yeah, what we do when we you know, as you know, we do these cover stories on OneUp.com, which are magazine quality, but just happen to be on the web. And of course, the great thing is that they're free, so you just click on it and it's all there. But, you know, making those covers, we have to do a lot of things. We actually have to get artwork so that we can create a magazine-style cover. And we got that photo from, was it Sony Music Entertainment?
Right, exactly.
That the image of the girl that appears on the soundtrack. And then we did our own thing with it. But making a cover, it's 5 days of nonstop exposure to a particular game or franchise, and that was Metal Gear Week. And the good thing about the timing of this was that Metal Gear Solid Subsistence was not out yet in Japan, so we had a little bit of a jump on getting some of this information out there, like the direct feed, multiplayer gameplay. That was fantastic. And we also got to talk to Shinta Nojiri about Metal Gear Acid 2.
Yeah, like a 2 hour
conversation. lunch. So we really got to, get comfortable with each other and talk about stuff, which by the time we actually hit the interview, we were all just like pals.
Right, exactly.
So that was great. And then we got to, I actually interviewed Kojima-san twice.
Right.
Over a 2-week period, I came to Tokyo twice.
I remember that. That was nutty. And his reaction was so funny when you came in the second time. He's like, "Wait, you again?"
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, you?" It's like no surprise. So that was cool. It's when a developer is that comfortable that you can be like, "Oh, it's you."
Right.
That's actually good.
Right. But that's one of your I don't know, your talents is to develop those relationship with developers and also getting what you want.
Yeah.
And when you saw that image on the soundtrack of the Snake Eater Girl, I mean, even though it wasn't, there was some kind of copyright issues and all that, you're like, I don't care.
That's the one.
You're like,
that's
Ryan,
the one.
you hook me up.
You take care of it. I don't want to hear from you until you come to me with that image. Yeah. So that was really great. The hardest covers that we do are when we only have one game to talk about, because then you've got to figure out at least 5 different compelling elements about that game to talk about over 5 days, and then to also have supplementary material. But with the Metal Gear cover, we had Metal Gear Solid Subsistence. We had the online portions. We had interviews with Shinta Nojiri. We had interviews with Hideo Kojima. We had the big preview on Metal Gear Solid Subsistence, and it really was not difficult to fill up a week's worth of content with all that material.
Right. It's a matter of just writing it.
Yeah,
a monster.
Which is a lot. I mean, just transcribing those really long interviews was something else. Plus, when I came here to do the 1-Up story, I also came here to do the OPM story.
Right.
Which was something like a 4,000-word interview alone. In case you're wondering out there what the difference was between the 1-Up interview and the official PlayStation Magazine interview, the 1-Up interview was more direct questions about Subsistence, Metal Gear Solid 4,
Raiden.
Past works, Raiden. Was Raiden coming back? And Kojima-san told us that not only is he coming back, but you're gonna love him.
Right, and you're the one you scooped that.
That, and he's like, you're gonna love Raiden. So that's exciting. I mean, it's not like Metal Gear Solid 4 wasn't already exciting enough, but that was kind of like the cherry on top. Then the OPM interview was a very different kind of interview, because it talked to Kojima about what makes him get up in the morning, what makes him get out of bed and say, I want to keep making games. It kind of like broke down the myth and got to just what is Kojima like as a human being and what makes him tick.
Right.
So that was very interesting.
And you also probe pretty deeply into a topic that a lot of journalists, well, for one thing, they don't have a lot of time to talk about other things. They have an assignment to talk about 4. But, you kind of put that aside for a while, and you want to talk about the Kojima Productions studio. Like, what is the studio exactly?
Yeah, because nobody, it's like, it's, to the outside world, you might just think, oh, well, it's a vanity thing, like, oh, Sega AM2, oh, Team Ninja, oh, Polyphony Digital, oh, it's just a studio name. But I knew that it was much more significant because Konami had restructured and brought all of the different elements, the different development teams, the different divisions, all under one banner. And that actually affected how each development team works, because now all the resources are the same.
Right.
Each division doesn't have its own resources and limited resources. Now it's like, a very unified company. So I knew that had to have helped Kojima Productions in some way. So I was like, well, why Kojima Productions and why now? Why didn't you do this before?
Right.
So for him to explain, how Konami used to work, how they work now, and what that means to Kojima Productions, that was really interesting.
Yeah, he revealed something that I was surprised that a lot of people on the internet didn't pick up, is that how he wants to expand outside of games.
Right.
And he kind of threw out a few hints.
He tossed out a couple things. He was like, if we wanted to make a Metal Gear arcade game in the past, it would have been very difficult, because they would have had to go, Kojima and his people and his team would have had to gone to the arcade division and said, hey, this is what we want to do. How do we do this?
Right.
But now he can just write it down and say, let's do this, and it's done.
Yeah, if he wants to do it.
Or, if we want to make a Metal Gear movie,
right,
we can do this now, you know, because you have access to, you know, the animation departments, you know, and CG.
He was talking about books, comics, you know, you name it. Like soundtracks, I think he said. I'm not...
Soundtracks.
He was just throwing out all these different examples. But
Yeah, just like lots of stuff. Things that, you know, before it was named Kojima Productions, Kojima's development team, what was it, KCET?
KCJ.
KCJ. Before it was just like purely software. Right. It's like, this is what we do. We make games. You know, we come in and all we're thinking about is games. But now Kojima Productions is an umbrella group that, you know, is able to do multimedia projects of pretty much anything they can think of.
Right. So that was something that I thought was really cool. Something that you went into that hasn't been and still hasn't been talked about so much online and in forums and things. But yeah, that's something to check back on in case you missed it. Maybe people were just their heads were exploding when they read that thing about Raiden.
Well, you know, everything that's come out since has probably been overshadowed a little bit by anticipation for MGS4 because of the MGS4 trailer.
Right.
I mean, you look at that, and that's clear-cut evidence, and that was the first real, genuine, believable evidence of what the PS3 could do. Mm-hmm. You know, I guarantee you that 95% of the games that come out are not going to look that good because, you know, Kojima Productions always does the most amazing job visually.
Right.
You know, people are thinking about MGS4, so to try and get people to pay attention to the other things.
Yeah, they've got tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of bringing up Raiden over and over again, and I'll just ask you straight up: is there hope for Raiden?
Personally,
I mean, you know the game industry very well, the community, like, you know, gamers.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your prediction? What
people generally have very short memories. I know that gamers tend to hold a grudge, you know, against things that they view as a slight against their most treasured franchises. But, you know, just like Bill Clinton, Vanessa Williams, all these things, people could commit the greatest faux pas in the public eye. But, you know, time heals all things. And as long as they make good, that's all that people care about. So when Kojima-san said, you know, by the end of MGS4, you will love Raiden, I have no idea what he's planning, but I imagine that it's got to be very, very cool. It's probably going to be something like either Raiden turns into a really believable, genuine badass, or he does something cool like just totally saves the day.
Right.
Or sacrifices himself or something majestic. It's got to be, or else, you know, it's like if he just shows up.
Yeah, if he just shows
you
up,
know, that's not going to be
thing.
That's not going to be enough.
He gets on the phone with Rose and starts talking about their relationship. Because
in Godzilla movies, you know, but
it's over.
Yeah, no, I mean, in Subsistence in the Metal Gear theater, you know, they poke a lot of fun at Raiden, Metal Gear Raiden. Right. You know, he just gets abused for
the time
about
paradox.
10 minutes. You know, everything's time paradox, and it's 10 minutes of beating up on Raiden. So, you know, obviously Kojima has a good sense of humor about it. He's like good-natured, you know, poking fun at Raiden. But I believe that he's got you know, some good things up his sleeves.
Yeah, I believe so too. You are into online games more than anybody I know.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Okay. Why you bring it up?
I want to bring up your skeletons out of the closet.
Yeah.
Bring them out.
Okay.
Bring out those skeletons. And I want to talk about online a little bit.
All right.
And I want to talk about Metal Gear.
Okay.
Online.
All right.
Because you were one of the first people to play it on the planet.
Right.
And you played it, you know, at our studio. You recorded it, and you had your own name on there. It said "One Up Milky." Yeah. And you're playing developers, and we recorded it. We put it up on, you put it up on One Up.
Yeah. How many people were playing that day? 8 people.
Yeah, I think 8 people was the max. And so yeah, you're very familiar with MGO, but the question is, you know, is there room for MGO in the game industry for gamers? Because, you know, SOCOM does a great job, Splinter Cell does a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's all sorts of other online games, but I mean, as far as like the direct competition is concerned, there is a lot of direct competition.
Yes, there is.
Do you think MGO could find its own, like its niche, or?
Yeah, I totally think it can because, you know, not everybody prefers SOCOM or not everybody prefers Splinter Cell, you know. And what the good, I mean, I don't think you can really judge the success of Metal Gear Online just based on the first entry, because even Kojima himself says that, like, Metal Gear Online as it exists now, which is a very full-featured game mode, and it's really, really fun. I mean, that game is addictive, especially with all the little humorous touches that people who play Metal Gear will find familiar. That's apparently only 10% of the ideas he's got, But the Metal Gear Online approach, I mean, this is something that people have been asking for years, and it's just recently gotten out there. So it's just taking off, and what it does for Kojima Productions is that it creates this great groundwork. It creates this foundation for you guys to build on.
Right.
I can't even imagine what is going to happen when MGS4 comes out. So you're asking me, when the PS3 comes out and whenever Metal Gear Solid 4 comes out, you're damn right there's going to be a space for something that looks like Metal Gear Solid 4, but with however many people playing online.
Right.
By the time that comes out, every day broadband gets better for just, consumers in general. So by the time MGS4 comes out, and, I'm just going to assume that, Metal Gear Online is going to be a part of that. But whether it is or whether it's a standalone thing, as Kojima Productions' experience with online games grows, I can only imagine the game getting better, and I think it's going to definitely have its place.
Well, here's the real question that everyone wants to know: is that you're really into online games, and when you came to Tokyo this time, did you bring along your Japanese PS2 and Final Fantasy XI? And your keyboard, and all that other gear that you're threatening to do?
No, because I have FF11 on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
So I can just plug that into the broadband wherever I find it and log on if I need to. But to be completely honest, while I have logged on just to say hi, I haven't actually played.
Okay, just saying hi to your homies.
My homies. Because I run the equivalent of my FF11 guild, so I got to keep people in line.
Right. You got to keep them in line.
In line. Online.
Mielke, thanks again for coming to the show. We had an awesome talk. It's great to see you. I'm sorry we didn't have a lot of time to hang out, but
it's okay. I'm glad to see you too. Nice to catch up with buddies when I'm in Tokyo.
Right. And next time you're in town, sure let me know, and we'll hit up the Graveyard Ramen shop again.
I love Graveyard Ramen. Nothing like eating ramen with the undead.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. That's a promise.
Okay.
So yeah, take it easy, man.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.